You. Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Advisor. I am Lisa Urbanski, co-host of the show, and today we have a special guest in my hometown city. He is basically Winnipeg's business matchmaker, connecting entrepreneurs, sparking ideas, and making deals happen. So Loren Remillard, President and CEO of the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, is here today. So, since taking the reins in 2016, he's been leading Manitoba's largest and most diverse business network, winning national awards, steering through a pandemic, and still finding time to sit on more boards than most people have houseplants. So, behind the titles, he's just a local kid who once roamed around downtown Winnipeg with a roll of quarters and a sense of adventure. And now he works right on Portage Main, trying to make that same magic happen for the next generation. So today we're talking entrepreneurship, community, and yes, we're going to find out a little bit more about who Loren actually is when he's not running the city's business scene. So let's get into it. Hey, how's it going? It's so good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Great to be here. Yeah, excited to be able to talk about Winnipeg with a Winnipegger on a show that, of course, crosses our boundaries and is a global podcast. So, again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, amazing. So, I mean, you've been called everything from a champion of business to Winnipeg's ultimate networker. But if I bumped into you on a Saturday morning, not in a suit, what would you be doing?
Wow. What would I be doing? I would probably either be out hiking, camping, enjoying cottage life, or puttering around the house. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have our responsibilities of maintaining our homes, and my kids are much older now, so they're quasi functioning adults. So once in a while, I run into them in the house, but yeah, just everyday kind of things. And actually, that's some of the things that I enjoy the most in my day are the mundane things that are chores, because there's a certain satisfaction I have from just doing something like, oh, I've got to stain the deck, or I have to fix this on the house, and it just gives me a sense of accomplishment and feeling connected to like life.
I love that. It's the simple things that actually matter to us, right? And man, you have a lot of responsibility. What would be one thing that if people found out would surprise them about you?
Wow, probably a few things. Uh, the thing that would surprise is, and I think a lot of people in public life, be it elected or just in the media from time to time, is uh, my favorite thing to do is actually just have a little bit of alone time. That for me, sometimes walking into that room of 1,000 people, going on that stage, it takes a lot of energy. And while I consider myself an extrovert, as I'm getting older, I'm actually finding myself becoming a little bit more introverted, and I really do value my alone time just to disconnect and kind of recenter myself, if you will.
Yeah, you need that. You're around tons of people all the time.
Well, and that's it, right? Like, and there is a part anytime you're in these types of roles, you're always on. So I'll go camping, and we were just camping in Northwest Ontario, and ran into someone from the local media here in Winnipeg. He was camping out
Right.
there with his family, and then you run into a city councilor, and so you're kind of like you can never be 100% unguarded, if you will, or just let relax and truly unwind. You always kind of feel a little bit like, well, I'm on. And that's why sometimes my alone time is my most cherished time. It's I can be stupid and be who I am, right? Which is, human.
Yeah, I love that. So when you were growing up and you were walking around downtown with that roll of quarters, what was your go-to stop? What would you do with them?
There was a place called Saratoga Arcade, which is now what would the building would be? Well, it's the Alt Hotel, that strip there. Yeah, we would hit that arcade. There was an arcade in another mall a couple blocks down. But that was our childhood, is hopping on the bus, going to the downtown. I mean, we're like 12 years old. You didn't even think twice about it. You just hopped on the bus, went downtown, and spent the whole day there. Be it the arcade, be it shopping, just hanging with friends. You never really even contemplated a different kind of weekend. It was, well, we're going downtown. And I know not just our downtown, but downtowns around the world are really struggling, particularly in North America. And I'd love for us to be able to recapture that sense of our downtown where it was just automatic. That's where you go. You go to work, you go to play, you go to enjoy life because everything's happening downtown. Um, yeah, when I look back on my childhood, I sound like my parents, right? Turn into your parents, live long enough. But I romanticized my youth. Obviously, there was challenges growing up in the 70s and 80s, but nevertheless, I just really loved the sense of adventure that my city provided for me in a safe, secure fashion.
What was your favorite game at that arcade?
There was a few. What would I say? Galaga. To this day, I still play once in a while.
Ooh, is that the
So
shooting game with
yes,
yes, the lasers and the flying saucers?
yep. And then there was
Okay.
one that was, I think it was called Quicks, where there was a thing going around the screen, but you had to cut off a certain, come from the boundary, go up, over, and create blocks, if you will. And if you got hit while you were trying to get to the next border, you died. Anyways, and of course, Pac-Man and all these. Well, my friend actually does have an arcade system, like the old systems they found in the arcade, and one of the games is Galaga. So I tend to go over there quite a bit to relive my youth.
Nice. I love that. So then, what brought you into the business scene?
Uh, yeah, there's a few ways. It starts, of course, with my childhood. My parents owned a small business, a small men's clothing store. It was higher end clothing like suits and for the working man, if you will. They only sold menswear. And this was my dad's dream. He had started off in retail, worked in a few higher end men's clothing stores in St. Boniface. And this was his dream. He wanted to go out there and start his own menswear company and was successful throughout a lot of the 70s and into the early 80s. And I really saw the positive struggles, if you will, of entrepreneurialism, this idea of chasing a dream and having a purpose and passion for what you do, never hearing them complain about work because it was their choice. They were determining their workload, how much they worked. They still had time for us. I mean, they still went camping. I just saw all the positives of being an entrepreneur. And then I also saw the struggles because in the early 80s, for those that may not have lived through the time, we went through a significant recession in North
Yeah.
America. Interest rates were very high, and unfortunately, my parents' business did not survive. As a
Mm.
result, I did see those struggles, and it really made
Yeah.
me appreciate not just the benefits of owning your own business, but the importance to what their business meant for our community. They employed a lot of new Canadians at that time when not a lot
Right.
of people were. My mom was vice president of my dad's company and would attend events, and she was often the only woman in the room
Wow.
of business
Yeah.
leaders. And so
That's incredible.
she was charting new pathways for women entrepreneurs in many ways. So that just, I got a flavor even as a child. You just absorb things just by being in the room and listening. You're not actively seeking to understand and learn. It's just something that stayed with me. And then, you know, as I was going through university and I was coming into the working world, I promised myself, I started off in the not for profit world, moved into the public sector, and then back into the not for profit. I always wanted to be driven by purpose. There's a lot of ways you can pay your bills, uh, make your financial ends meet. But I never wanted to do it for the paycheck. I always wanted something that allowed me to truly feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of
Yeah.
contributing back to community. And the more I was exposed to business people, seeing their philanthropic work, seeing how a difference they made to people, by growing their business and all of a sudden hiring new people. Uh,
Yeah.
Now those people were able to make their financial ends meet and provide for their families. So it just awakens that core need I have for passion and purpose.
Love that. So, what would be like one of the biggest myths that you could bust right now? What would be the biggest myth about the entrepreneurial world
Hmm.
that you wish we could bust once and for all and it would go away forever? You could use your what is it called? Galaxy Galactica
Yeah.
laser to bust this myth.
Well, you know what? There's so many. The one that I still encounter far too often is this notion that business are effectively endless wells to be drawn on by governments predominantly. You know, whenever there's a need in the community, people always just say, well, just increase business taxes. It's not as though they can't afford it, or, oh, it just means they have to maybe instead of buying three BMWs or Mercedes, they only have to buy two. And there's this notion of this, I guess, fat cat entrepreneur. And that
Yeah,
what most people don't see is the extraordinary sacrifice. When you're starting a business, by and large, most small businesses, you're bootstrapping it. You're borrowing money from friends and family. You're leveraging all your investments. You're
yeah,
taking out a second mortgage, and you're not taking a salary for the first few years in many, many cases. Just to get into a position where hopefully within 5 years you're still around, because we know so many business starts that that first year is very difficult. If you can get to the 5 year mark, you're generally going to be okay. But even then, all of a sudden a pandemic happens and everything outside your control changes your world. And now what was a thriving business is now struggling to make ends meet. Um, so yeah, I think that would be the thing, is that recognize that far far too many people believe this idea that entrepreneurialism is easy, that people make extraordinary amounts of money, and we just need to tap into that. And I'm like, no, these are people that are struggling every day to realize their dream, and they're not doing it for huge profit. I mean, so many, it's, I just want to be in control of my own fate. I want to wake up in the morning and decide who do I go after as a client, perhaps, or is there a new product I want to launch? You are completely in control of that business, not necessarily the external world, and that's why most do it.
yeah,
And we should be applauding that kind of risk taking. We should be nurturing that kind of entrepreneurial thinking, not just for business, but for all facets of life. The most creative people I know own businesses, because you have to be creative to own a business. You
yeah,
just, it's it's core. You cannot survive if you're very think in standard ways. There's new
yeah,
problems that
rigid.
emerge. Yeah. So I hope that busts the myth, if you will.
Yes, you shot it with your laser. Great
Yeah.
job. You're really good at that game.
Yeah.
So, thinking back through the pandemic, which you mentioned, what do you think is the biggest leadership lesson that you took from that and that you're hanging on to, if anything?
Leadership lesson. And you know what? There's a few. From a more organizational perspective, it's amazing that how an acute crisis like that, really, as a leader, if you didn't already do it, the only way to survive a crisis is to do this, and that's really lean into your team, right? Because I think when I started in this role, not that I did this, but there was a part of me, it was like, okay, the staff are going to come to you, and you always have to at least have an answer, and they're
Right.
looking to you for leadership and guidance and all these sorts of things. So a little bit of a, okay, I need to know everything. And what I quickly learned is I just need to know where the solutions are, and that's the people that I've surrounded myself with. They're the experts. We've all heard the saying, the best leaders hire people that are smarter than them. Um,
Yeah.
and so during the pandemic, that's really where it's like, look, we're in a crisis. We need solid decision making, evidence based decision making, data driven. I really need the teams to be very clear as to here is what is being asked of you, and we're leaning heavily on your ability to bring forward solutions. Um, that was a key moment for me, I would say, in my growth as a leader. But the two things that really emerged, and I would say the pandemic didn't necessarily awaken me to this, but I think it really demonstrates the truth of this takeaway for me is you elect leaders politically and you hire leaders in business for the same two reasons. People think it's subject matter expertise. I don't subscribe to that. You hire them for two things: character and wisdom. Your
Mm,
character, right? Not your reputation, big difference. Your character is your values, your principles, your morals. These are the foundational pieces that are going to help you in your decision making. They're going to be your compass points, if you will. So you want to make sure that you hire leaders that they might not necessarily know all the answers, but in finding those answers, they're using a compass point of solid characteristics, solid values. The second is wisdom. So, you can't be a subject matter expert at everything. So that if you have the right character and you match that with good wisdom, somebody's going to come to you and bring you options and their recommended solution to a problem. Having good wisdom allows you to interpret that data that's coming in as a leader and maybe ask some questions that they might not have seen based on your experience of dealing with issues. And it allows you to take effectively that experience you have in the form of wisdom and marry that with the information you're getting from your teams to render the best decision, because it's going to be based on good values, good experience, that's ultimately your wisdom, and leading in a way that allows your team to bring their subject matter expertise. So in some ways, it's
mm.
that those two characteristics really, for me, shone during the pandemic. At least I think so. I mean, my staff might say different.
Yeah, it sounds to me like there's a lot of empowerment there, empowering the team.
You have to. I mean, the world is so more complicated in term, strands of complexity, if you will. It, you're only going to succeed if you really hire solid people that know what they're doing and trust.
Yeah,
I always like to say to the team, nothing, we're not doing brain surgery here. We're doing important work. That's not suggesting what we do isn't important. We do important work, but no one lives and dies based on what we do. So it's okay to make a mistake. And
mm,
also, you need to make mistakes. I I know there's certain political officials that will say, I've never made a mistake. And how do you know you've succeeded then? Like when you think about it, how do you know something's bitter? Because you've tasted things that are, sweet, sour,
yeah,
these sorts of things. So how do
it's
you
the
really
duality
enjoy,
of it.
yeah, how do you enjoy success if you've never tasted bitterness of defeat and failure? Um, that's, I like to say that, to my kids in particular, I said, the only failure in failure is not learning from it. That is truly the only thing that I think holds you back. Anyways,
I love that. I love that. So I guess my next question then is on those days where the obstacles feel just tremendous, taller than the successes, how do you keep going?
yeah, uh, one foot on the
Uh-oh.
next, I guess. There are days. It's especially during the pandemic. Not to make this a pandemic podcast, but there were days where I'd get calls from entrepreneurs, and again, they're phoning me to say, "Look, I'm going to have to close my business for good. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to go find a job. I just," and they're on the phone crying, and you try to help them through that difficult time as best you can, and then you get off the phone and you're just deflated because you were with that company, you saw them start up, and they were doing so well, and they would have continued to do so well, save for this one event, and so you're just like you just feel for them, and the humanity of the business
Yeah.
is on full. So yeah, when you go home, I mean, there's times where you do have your moments of vulnerability and weakness, and I shouldn't say weakness, but you know, uh, Maybe that's where a little alone time to just process some of that is needed. But also having a really good circle of peers that you can be vulnerable around. The reality is, we always like to say for leaders, we want people that, you know, will show their humanity, that are open to being, you know, fragile, if you will. I think we do want that. But at the same time, I challenge that because I think I've seen instances where leaders have been that way. And the perception in the muttering that follows is weakness. So
Yeah.
we want this, but we don't celebrate it. We continue to be a little bit, well, are they are they okay? Are they losing it? Are they the
Are they
holding
still
together?
able to
Yeah,
hold the crew?
yeah.
Yeah, totally. There's that assumption.
So
That's a
that
really
is
good point.
where we definitely need to make sure you surround yourself with people that are there to support you in your journey as a leader, as a person, period, that can understand the struggles. The context might be different, but the underlying issues you're dealing with as, say, a CEO or whatever your career path is. People that have also kind of walked that path, that are rooting for you, want to see you succeed as a person and understand the trials and tribulations that you're going through. And so it's your personal coach, your team of people that are rooting you on through this race um, called life. That is the difference. If you're finding as a leader you're alone and you're processing all this, it's I can't imagine going through that and being well, because we're all social creatures. We all need people,
Yeah.
and we need the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a fun one for you. So if Winnipeg hosted an entrepreneur Olympics, what would you win gold at?
Wow. Entrepreneur Olympics. What would I win gold at? I think, I don't know. I'd be in the, maybe on the podium. I don't want to say gold. Uh, but public speaking and rolling with the punches, because
Mm,
inevitably something goes wrong. You're on stage. I'll remember this one time. I'm pretty sure it was our state of the city or state of the province, 1,200 people in the room.
yeah.
And we have what we call the voice of God. So it's one of our staff members going, ladies and gentlemen, please rise, or please welcome to the stage Loren Remillard, President and CEO, Winnipeg Chamber of
Yeah,
Commerce.
the show will start in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inevitably, though, or on cue, when they go to do that and announce that I'm coming to the stage, it breaks up. So it sounds like, please welcome to the stage, Loren, like that. And they keep trying as I'm walking up to the stage, and it's just not working. And so I stand up there and I'm just like looking at them like, stop, stop, stop. And finally, I'm just like, hi, my name is Lord. And so I just kind of made fun of it that way. And it just, uh, you had to be there. Probably didn't really land quite as the way I said it. But nevertheless, public speaking, I love public speaking. Maybe it's a little bit of narcissism. I don't know, but I love getting up in front of a group of people and talking about things that I believe in or I'm passionate about. And so for me to get
Yeah.
on the chamber stage, I'm talking to people I care deeply about, their business, their employees, our community, and I'm sharing with them, these are the things we're working on. These are the things we're doing for your behalf, and for our community as a whole, because no business community can flourish if the community that hosts those businesses is struggling, and vice versa. So, yeah, I'd probably get points taken off for not being brief. I have a tendency to speak in long sentences, much to the chagrin of my grade 9 grammar teacher that would probably um, shake their head.
So you're getting bronze then. Is that what you're saying?
Uh, I would shoot to win, and at the end of the day, I do believe this. And it was someone who was doing a reference to basketball, like, look, not everyone can make the NBA, because there's you can we can have the same coach, Michael Jordan and I, James LeBron James, sorry, obviously, um, we can have the same coach, but the fact is, my height is my height. My physical attributes are my physical attributes. Um, I'm probably not going to make the NBA, even if we had the same level of coaching. It's a nature and nurture. And so I bring that to everything I do, saying, look, if I do the best I can, and someone's best is better than mine, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Because if I truly brought my A game, somebody's A game is going to be better than yours. Now, keep trying to improve your game. Absolutely. Even the professional athletes continue, even the best continue to practice their game. They wanted to stay on top. They always wanted to be better. But, I would go for job interviews in the past and do what we call post board. So you'd meet with the hiring committee afterwards if you were unsuccessful. And I usually only had that one question saying, based on what you know of me and what you think you know of me, and based on the successful candidate, if I had done my best, would I have gotten the opportunity? And one time person's like, no, the other person is lights out better than you. And I
Right.
said, thank you. That's all I needed. I mean, if I didn't get that job because I failed in bringing my A game, then that bothers me, because then that means it was an opportunity lost.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I love that. So when you picture Winnipeg 10 years from now, what is your dream for its business community?
Hmm. A couple things, and I think it really starts with the people of Winnipeg. I want people. Winnipeg now, for those that may not know, Winnipeg is what, the eighth, ninth largest city in the country, approaching 1 million people. We have a rich history in our community. We're one of the most progressive cities in the country. We founded so many movements. The you know when you look at a list of firsts in this country, Winnipeg's name's on so many of them. We built incredible things in this community over its 150 plus years. Uh, but I think as other cities have risen, other regions have risen, I'd like us to get back a little bit more of our swagger that said, I don't need to move somewhere else to make my dream happen. I don't need to go there to expand my business because I'm constrained by Winnipeg. That's my dream, that people look at Winnipeg not as a great place to just start a business, but to start a business, grow your business, and build, the next empire,
Yeah.
corporate empire out of Winnipeg. There was a tech company we had. I'll save the name, but anyone from Winnipeg will know the saying if they're in the tech community. But when they started out, they actually, one of the things one of the co-founders said is, our goal is to build $1 billion tech company in Winnipeg. And they were asked why. And they said, so that we can show others in the tech community it can be done. Guess what?
Nice.
They did.
Beautiful.
So, that's the kind of the energy I want for our community, where you just believe it can happen here, and
Mm.
you're gonna do it here. And I think that transcends beyond just business. I'd like all, we always say, and I think a lot of communities do this, how do we make sure we keep our kids, they finish university, post-secondary, and they go on and they move to another city? How do we keep them in Winnipeg or in our community, um, and create opportunities for them to do so? I I shift that a little bit, if you will. I don't look at it as trying to keep our kids. I look at it as creating a community, a city, a vibrant community, economically, socially, otherwise, that makes other kids in other cities want to move here. And if we do
Right.
that, our kids will stay, and some will leave because people need adventure in their life. But we need to create something that's attractive for everyone's kids. Will be good.
Mm.
That's my dream for Winnipeg. And you know what? We've done it before. We're building all the right pieces. Winnipeg is a place that has everything you could want in a large city. We just need to maybe ratchet up the energy level and belief that we can continue to build whatever we want right here in Winnipeg.
Yeah. So what can everyday people do, not just business owners, but how can everyday people play a part in making that happen?
Well, what is the saying? Attitude determines altitude. think sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Now,
Yeah.
for some of your listeners that I think I know Winnipeg, isn't that a cold city? Because that
Oh
tends to
my
be,
God, I get that all the
yeah,
time. Why do you
yeah,
live there? It's freezing.
it's freezing. And, for the longest time, we would like apologize for the weather. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, it's so cold. I'm like, why are you apologizing? It's not like you control the global thermostat. And
I just say,
Winnipeg,
excuse me, I'm gonna go back into my igloo. I'll talk to you later.
yeah. And so you started to see a little bit of a shift. And I saw it. A friend of mine was on an airplane a couple of years ago, like say 10 years ago. And you'd overheard of two business people talking. The one person found out the other person was from Winnipeg, and the person was, I think, from Toronto or something like that. And of course, you got the traditional, oh, it's cold, it's this. And instead of apologizing, this very young business person really took exception to it and started listing all the great things about Winnipeg compared to all this, the challenges of this other city. And it was remarkable. And it was noted because it was like, wow, we don't see that enough where people, you don't have to be angry in defense, but be proud of your community. And really, when I was raising our boys, I'd always say to them, never let anyone put down where you're from. The reason being is we are two things. We're a product of nature and nurture. Where you're from, your city, shaped who you are. So if someone's
hmm
saying Winnipeg's, this, and it's a derogatory expression, well, isn't that kind of a reflection on you? So would you allow someone to insult you and apologize when they're doing it? Like, no. So yeah, I think we just need to be reminded we all have a choice as to where we live, where we set up our business, where we raise our
hmm
children. So no one's forcing anyone to stay here. A million people choose Winnipeg for a reason. They've chosen this community. More and more people are moving here by choice. So, what are some of those reasons? It's affordable. It's got a vibrant economy that's very diverse. We don't boom, we don't bust. There's just so many great things about living in Winnipeg. Let's just start reminding ourselves what those reasons are, and why that's the reason we chose to live here and continue to do
Yeah,
so.
it's beautiful. The topography is really nice. And plus, we've got the Winnipeg Jets and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So what more could you need here?
I'll say this too, like on the weather thing. I sit there and I love, because in Manitoba and Winnipeg, you're an hour away from cottage country in all directions.
Yes.
And 100,000 lakes. We have everything. We even have a desert here, right?
Yeah.
An escarpment. It's not all flat. There's some hilly areas in Manitoba, but we're a four-season community, and that's kind of a rare thing. We're the spectrum of weather goes from extreme heat to extreme cold. That's actually a good thing. I think it's something we should celebrate. It makes us hardy. We get to experience the joys and the opportunities that each season presents. I wouldn't have it any other way.
In the time that we've been recording this, it has got from sunny to raining and then sunny again. So point taken.
And if any of your listeners and viewers are wondering, I'm outside. There's some deconstruction going on inside my residence. I feel like I'm looking at my image in the video here, and I look like I'm Dr. Evil sitting in the the villain's chair or something.
It
So,
looks like you're on a retreat or something. It looks like you're just meditating or something.
but this is it. Like I'm sitting there looking out. The weather's changing, as you noted, and it's just another great day here.
Yeah, beautiful. So, last question. When people look back at your time leading the chamber, what is one thing you hope they'll remember about you?
I've thought on this question because I I used to work at the chamber from 1997 to '03, and I left. And I went to work into the public service, and I came back in 2014. And that was a great experience for me because it allowed me to realize that whatever connection, I was young in my career too. So, it was like really exciting. Wow, the premier's calling, the mayor's calling.
Yeah.
It was I was pretty geeked out about it. And then you leave and the phone stops ringing. And I'm like,
Mm,
and then you quickly realize it's the office you hold, it's not you. And I see a lot of elected officials when they come to the end of their time in office struggle with that. You go from being someone that everyone wants to say hi to because you're minister of this or
right.
and that, and then they become just faces on the street walking by, and no one's rushing out to shake their hands like they used to. So for me, it really made me realize my legacy I don't worry about because in time erases memories of us all, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the ones that do think, when I think of legacy, I think of my family, my friends, my community. Not necessarily people will think of Loren Remillard, President and CEO. That said, I I look at the chamber as this public trust. It is 6 months older than the city of Winnipeg itself, founded in 1873. We, as a chamber, as a business community, have our fingerprints on everything in this city, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. We have helped build this city from the day it was conceived. And so it's a public trust that I take that responsibility very heavily. It weighs on me in a good way, right? Like I don't just take it for granted. It's just another job. And so when I think of my legacy, I think it really needs to be, did I leave the chamber in a stronger position than I found it? And not just financial, I mean structurally. Is it a chamber that has modified, innovated, and positioned itself to be future proof? That as the demographics of our business community shift, as community shifts itself, the needs of our community are changing. We have to evolve with that. If we continue to just keep doing the same thing over and over again, you become less relevant in time. So my legacy, I really want it to be that the chamber continued to be rebuilt to be the leading organization it is and is well positioned. Whomever takes over, whoever gets the keys to the car, will say, good, it's been tuned up, it's modernized, and it's ready to roll.
Love that. Thanks for being here today and for having this conversation. I am a member of the chamber, as you know, and it's been a wonderful experience. I love getting out and seeing you and your staff. Um, Honestly, I like stalk you guys low key. It's so much fun. Highly
Well,
recommend.
the reason our chamber is strong because of members like you. Honestly, that's the strength of any member-based organization are the members. Our success is based on your success. And that's why I think we're strong. We're the number one business organization in our community. It starts and stops with our members. And I'm pleased to say I'm surrounded by a team that literally get up every day, and they're purpose driven people as well. And that's why we have good tenure. People stick around because they're motivated, and we get to meet members like yourself every day and see you succeed and feel like we maybe had a little bit of a role in that success.
Awesome. Thanks again for being here. Do you have any last minute thoughts on our conversation?
You know what? At the end of the day, I hope if someone's listening to this and they can take a nugget from it, and it doesn't have to be, oh, yeah, he's right there. It could be something they said and said, I completely disagree with him. As long as they're open to the learning of it. And I hope I helped someone. At the end of the day, that should be everything we strive for is help someone you don't even know. That's
Mm.
rewarding.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks again. And to our listeners, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Get in touch with your local chamber, enhance your local community, and purchase local. You have no idea how much it helps your community. Please check out more episodes just like this. Until next time, have a great day, everyone. Check out the rain. Come to Winnipeg. It's really not that cold, we promise.